From Seoul, Korea, KBS World Radio News starts right now. A surprise U.S. airstrike on Syria sends a strong message to North Korea. President Donald Trump reiterates that the U.S. is ready to act alone against North Korea. And a pro-North Korean newspaper calls for improved inter-Korean ties. This is KBS World Radio News. I'm Rosine Park. The U.S. military launched dozens of cruise missiles at a Syrian military airfield on Thursday. The move came as U.S. President Donald Trump denounced Tuesday's chemical weapons attack, which killed at least 70 people in the Syrian province of Idlib, and claimed that the proliferation of chemical weapons must be stopped. U.S. President Donald Trump said Thursday night that he ordered a targeted military strike on the airbase in Syria from where the chemical attack was launched. The U.S. government official explained that 2 U.S. warships fired roughly 60 to 70 Tomahawk cruise missiles at a Syrian government airbase on Thursday. The New York Times said that the U.S. bombing also appears to be a message to North Korea, Iran, and other potential adversaries that the U.S. is prepared to act on short notice. The U.S., Britain, and other major Western countries want the UN Security Council to adopt a resolution seeking to investigate the Syrian government, as they believe that the Syrian government led by President Bashar al-Assad was behind the latest chemical weapons attack. U.S. President Donald Trump has made it clear that Washington will deal with North Korea unilaterally if Beijing is lukewarm about reining in the regime's nuclear program. Traveling to Florida on Thursday for his first summit meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump was asked by the reporters accompanying him whether he is willing to act alone if China doesn't help resolve the North Korean nuclear program. Trump said he would be, but added he thinks China will want to be stepping up pressure on Pyongyang. He did not elaborate on whether he would use trade as leverage to pressure China to exert influence on North Korea, but said he would be encouraging. He said in telephone conversations with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on Thursday that all options are on the table with regard to responding to North Korea's continued nuclear tests and missile launches. The European Union on Thursday unveiled additional sanctions against North Korea. The new measures restrict investments in the north and ban the provision of computer services to the regime, among other things. Our Pejian has more.
Just a day after Pyongyang launched a ballistic missile toward the East Sea, the European Union announced a set of sanction measures against the regime. In the new sanctions package, the EU expanded its current investment bans in the North's ballistic missile-related businesses to conventional weapons, metallurgy, metalworking, and aerospace industries. In addition, it also agreed to prohibit the provision of computer services to North Korean persons or entities. Services linked to the North Korean chemical, mining, and refining industries will also be suspended. The EU also blacklisted 4 more North Koreans for their ties to the regime's nuclear, missile, or other weapons of mass destruction-related programs. A total of 41 North Korean individuals and 7 entities are now subject to the EU's travel bans and asset freezes. The EU said it decided to impose the additional sanctions considering the North's continual pursuit of nuclear tests and ballistic missile launches violate multiple UN Security Council resolutions. The EU first imposed sanctions against the North in late 2006 and has since been steadily intensifying the measures. The new EU sanction measures came as the UNSC unanimously adopted a press statement on Thursday denouncing North Korea for its latest ballistic missile test. In its fourth statement concerning Pyongyang's missile provocations this year, the UNSC expressed its utmost concern over the North's highly destabilizing behavior, noting that such activities are significantly increasing tension in the region and beyond. Pedro, KBS World Radio News.
The Japanese government held a cabinet meeting Friday and extended unilateral sanctions on North Korea for 2 more years, as existing measures expire this coming Thursday. The sanctions include banning entry of North Korean vessels into Japanese ports, including those for humanitarian purposes. Any trade with the North is also prohibited. These 2 measures were imposed from 2006 and 2009, respectively. Tokyo believes that it needs to continue to put pressure on Pyongyang as the regime continues provocations. And also as there is little progress in resolving the issue of Japanese nationals abducted by North Korea. In December, Japan imposed additional sanctions on the North, including an expanded port entry ban and the freezing of assets of 11 North Korean organizations and 18 individuals related to nuclear and missile development. A pro-North Korean newspaper has expressed hopes for improved inter-Korean relations, citing sports events involving the two Koreas. Japan-based Chosun Shinbo published an article Friday titled Auspicious Signals, which spotlighted an inter-Korean cheering squad rooting for North Korea at the International Ice Hockey Federation Women's World Championship. It said a unification fever was flaring up in the South Korean city of Gangneung, where the tournament is underway. The paper also highlighted preliminaries for next year's AFC Women's Asian Cup taking place in Pyongyang and noted how South Korean athletes who arrived in the North Korean capital for the preliminary round are receiving a heartfelt welcome from local citizens. The paper went on to say that Korea is one and a unified era will by all means come one day. Earlier this week, the newspaper mentioned China's retaliation against South Korea's THAAD missile defense deployment, saying the only way for the South's survival is improved cross-border relations and joint prosperity with the North. South and North Korea played to a 1-1 draw in a football match Friday during the preliminaries for next year's AFC Women's Asian Cup in Pyongyang. With the tie, South Korea has raised hopes for advancing into the Asian Cup's main round. In the Group B qualifying tournament held at Kim Il-sung Stadium, South Korean Chang Soo-gi scored an equalizer in the 75th minute after the North's Song Hyang-shim scored in the first half. South Korea beat India 10-0 in its first match and will next face Hong Kong on Sunday and Uzbekistan on Tuesday. North Korea, meanwhile, has scored 2 wins against India and Hong Kong. Only the top finisher in the group can compete in the Women's Asian Cup in Jordan next year. The competition also doubles as the qualifying tournament for the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France. A new survey finds that the People's Party's Ahn Cheol-soo is fast catching up with the Democratic Party's Moon Jae-in in the race to the top office. In a Gallup Korea poll on 1,005 people conducted from Tuesday to Thursday, 38% chose Moon as their best choice for next president. While Moon gained 7 percentage points from last week to keep the top spot, Ahn came in second with 35%, adding 16 percentage points from the previous poll. In the last 2 weeks, Ahn has seen his approval rating surge 25 percentage points. The Liberty Korea Party's Hong Kim-pyo, meanwhile, came in third, with 7% of those surveyed expressing support. That's up 3 percentage points from last week. Lee Sung-min of the splinter right-wing Padun Party came in fourth with 4%, followed by minor progressive Justice Party candidate Shin Sung-jung with 3%. Both Yu and Shim saw growth of 2 percentage points from last week in their approval rating. The survey had a 95% confidence level with a margin of error of plus or minus 3.1 percentage points. Details on the latest survey are available on the website of Gallup Korea or the National Fair Election Survey Deliberation Commission. A new survey shows 30% of domestic drivers are considering buying an imported vehicle for their next auto purchase. SK Car, a used car sales firm, conducted a survey on over 2,600 car owners, of whom 86% own a South Korean brand and the other 14% a foreign brand. 70% of the first group said they're thinking of buying yet another domestic model, while 30% were contemplating an imported car. Meanwhile, 83% of current foreign car owners plan to buy another imported model. Nearly 43% of Mercedes-Benz drivers said they will continue with the brand, showing the highest brand loyalty. BMW followed at 36% and Kia Motors at 33%. SsangYong Motor and Hyundai Motor closely trailed at 29% and 28% respectively. When asked what they consider most in their car purchases, 37% of respondents said durability and safety. Design and price were the next most important factors. Google announced on Friday that it has introduced its feature on fact-checked articles on Google News in South Korea. Google has been labeling articles in Google News as in-depth and opinion for the past 8 years. However, last year it introduced fact-check tagged articles in Google News in the U.S. and Britain. Since then, it has also launched the feature in France, Germany, Mexico, and Argentina. Google explained that it decided to bring in the new tag as it has become increasingly difficult to determine whether a story is true or not. Media firms can add the fact-check label when efforts have been made to verify what the truth is, amid a wide range of arguments on a certain controversial issue. The tag story must also meet certain standards, including identifying facts and claims, transparent sources, and clear titles. By allowing the fact-check tag, Google will not verify or confirm the story again. South Korea's find dust concentration between January and March of this year was the worst since 2015. According to a center under the Environment Ministry that issues air quality projections on Friday, the find dust concentration during those 3 months amounted to 32 micrograms per cubic meter, up 2 micrograms per cubic meter compared to the same periods in 2015 and 2016. The center added that during the January to March period, the nation saw a total of 8 days of bad find dust concentration, the same number of days posted in the same period in 2015, but double the number reported in 2016. The number of days that westerly winds blew from China to South Korea between January and March, when China often sees smog, stood at 75 this year. That's up 8 days compared to 2015 and up 56 from last year. And that's the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul. I'm Rosine Park.